Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Dan.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is David Lapp.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick
I'm
Gillette.
Christopher
This is
Knopf.
Dr. Bob Greenberg.
I'm Laird Hamilton.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
This is Gregg Valley, and you're listening to The Break It Down Show.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
Yes, you are.
Right.
This is a long time coming.
Long time.
Gregg Valley is a visual artist, an adventurer in texture and geometry and depth.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. I
Yeah.
like that. Well, I actually like that a lot.
And who dabbles in the extremes. So I would say that your medium is ranging from the most minute details in nature in your photography of bugs and leaves.
Sure.
And all the way to 6-story murals that span city blocks. So it's either absolutely enormous or a tiny detail that is way under the radar and just under our noses.
That's kind of stuff that I do just for fun. I shoot macro shots with my iPhone of bugs and all sorts of fun little things like that. But my main art is the paintings that I do and the large-scale murals that I paint on the sides of buildings and whoever else will let me paint on wherever else I can paint.
Yeah, the sides of buildings, the sides of enormous buildings. So we have several installations here on the West Coast. You, of course, live in Pennsylvania, much to my chagrin. And
mine after seeing the weather here today.
And there are several examples out there in your hometown of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Would you say that your hometown is Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's where I was born and raised.
Yeah.
And lived out here in Northern California for 7 or 8 years, something like that.
So in the interest of full disclosure for our listeners, Greg and I are very dear friends, and our families are intertwined in that our boys grew up playing baseball together and established some deep and, as far as we can tell now, lifelong friendships.
Yeah, absolutely.
That are far greater than just the leisure activities.
Mm-hmm.
So we enjoy, though, hanging out with, I mean, you've done a lot. Niko's here with us as well.
Niko is here with us as
Hello,
well.
Niko.
Yeah. And you've done quite a lot to influence my son. I know I've done quite a lot, most of it behind your back, to influence your boys as well.
Awesome. That's always good.
Yeah. The thing that comes to mind, we'll get back to Gregg's artwork, but listeners, go to greggvalley.com. That's Gregg,
Yes.
valley.com, and you can see all kinds of neat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy stuff. You can catch up with what Gregg's been up to in his artistic endeavors in Pittsburgh most recently.
Mm-hmm.
But let's first start at, I took Jake to Las Vegas. Jake is your younger son. Your older son, Zach, didn't need any help from me in being corrupt because he went off to college and he is undoubtedly brilliant in school, but probably crushing a lot of tail as well. So,
Oh, yeah.
just wanted to capture that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure he's doing fine. But Jake, we took Jake to Las Vegas a couple years ago, and that was fun.
When was that? I remember that, but I can't remember when it was. Like, time is
It
like...
was the summer of 2015, right after graduation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember now.
So yeah, Jake came out. You guys had moved to Pennsylvania for Jake's senior year.
Yeah.
He came back out though and had a lot of fun at his what would have been his high school graduation here.
Right.
He got to do all the things that the high school graduates get to do. Everybody let him in everywhere. So that was fun. Grad night. Oh my God, it's Jake Valley.
Yeah.
Sure, let him in. So he got a pass to do everything that he would have done. And then shortly after, days after graduation, we went to Las Vegas. And we did so much fun stuff. And by fun stuff, I mean cocaine and hookers. Yeah. No, I didn't corrupt him to that degree.
I might have.
Yeah. But it was fun. So anyway, do you want to talk about art?
Sure.
All right. What have you been doing recently?
Well, actually, in Pittsburgh, I have a one-man show coming up, which I didn't even tell you about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So first time I've I'll have a one-man show in years and years. So making some new work, some new paintings, some big stuff on big canvases. I'm working on a 7-foot by 3-foot canvas right now, and just finished a few other big pieces. So lots of good stuff for
Excellent.
How many pieces of work go into a show like that?
No, all depends on how big
On how
space
many you
is,
have.
of course.
Yeah,
How many you have.
right.
So it'll be a combination of paintings and prints in this show. So I don't know. The show's in May, so still have some time to crank out some more work. But I'll probably have about upwards of 15 to 20 paintings and a lot of prints as well. So
And a lot of prints, right? Some of the print work you've done. There was a program for a race. What race was that?
Oh, I did a lot of those.
Grand
There
Prix?
there was the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix. There's the Pittsburgh Great Race, which is not a marathon. It's like a 10K maybe, but it's a big thing every year in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I used
It's
to
like
do
Pittsburgh's Beta Breakers.
Yeah. Come
Okay.
on,
Not quite that risque.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. People actually run it.
Yeah, and it is
Okay.
Pittsburgh. So
It is really a race.
It's in the fall every year. So, but
Not just an excuse to jog backwards naked.
right, yeah. That you don't see that a lot in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So no, but
A lot.
So hopefully you don't see
You
that
look
a lot
hard
in
enough.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But I used to do the artwork for that for I think like 8 years in a row. I did that. But a few of the pieces I did for that are pretty cool.
So, but in terms of print, if that's a lot of your work, because you don't naturally get commissioned to do an enormous mural very often. There just aren't that many enormous pieces of real estate to paint.
Yeah, and you got to get the funding and all that kind of stuff has to happen. And of course, in Pittsburgh, you can only paint outside during a few months out of the year.
Right.
That's
like
true.
maybe a 4 or 5 month period of time. So
I didn't even think of that.
yeah,
That didn't even dawn on me.
Exactly, kind of limits the time frame there. But so actually, there's a friend of mine knows someone in Georgia who's looking for a muralist. So I'm talking to them right now. So it'd be really cool to do something down there. There's actually 2 projects in Pittsburgh that are coming up that I may be involved in. So I try to do as many of those as I can.
So it's like a bid process, right? You have to go through a lot of steps that involve.
Yeah,
There's probably somebody who's a project manager who has to permit the damn thing
Yeah.
and procure the funding and all that stuff.
And a lot of times it's public money, so you have to put it out publicly, and you have they send out the RFP kind of thing, and you respond to that, and you all
It's a
that.
process.
Oh, it's a process.
It's the commerce side, the business side of the artistic endeavor that always sucks.
yeah. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. I like to make art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No artist
So-
likes that stuff.
Yeah, no. No, I know a few who like that kind of stuff, but I'm not one of them. I am not one of them.
Do those few prosper any more than the other artists? Because
Well,
I
the one
feel
that-
like somebody is going to allow you some leeway because they want Gregg Valley work in the universe. And then there's the guy who's really good at the business part, but but he only really draws caterpillars.
Well, it all depends on the individual, I guess. The one that I'm referring to is a friend of mine who's down in LA, and he does amazing work, and he's an amazing promoter of his own work.
Oh, boy.
which I suck at.
Wow.
And,
So he's got it all.
So yeah, so he's done stuff like internationally, and because he's able to, he's very good at self promotion, and I am the absolute worst at self promotion. So, it's it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, people come around.
Oh, sure.
So what are you not doing that you'd like to do? You have a show coming up. I know that's going to really take up all of your efforts for the next few months.
Exactly.
We have writers on sometimes, and they'll say, yeah, I'm chipping away at my novel, and I've been working at it for, however long, and then I write these screenplays to pay the bills, or I do whatever writing projects come up that create a living. Is there a large endeavor that's sort of lurking in the wings that you just keep chipping away at?
Well, not necessarily in the sense of anything that can relate to a novel or anything, but the mural stuff that I've been doing, which kind of started by accident about 12 years ago, and I had never had any idea that I was ever going to be doing this kind of thing until a friend of mine at that time was like, "You got to do this," and it's been awesome, and it's been the kind of thing that really that's the most enjoyable thing that I do now, because it's something that the public gets to see on a daily basis, and it's something that's going to be there for years and years and years to come, and it's kind of like making your mark, and I would just love to be able to do more of that, and ultimately I would love to be able to do more of that on just everywhere,
right? And take that show on the road,
as much as I can, and go places where I can paint year round, and I don't have to worry about the weather, and so that's kind of what I would like to happen.
So it's a quest to make more of that in the world. You work in very vibrant colors and shapes that are striking, so they lend themselves to a large format.
Yes, absolutely.
When you began establishing your style, and again, if you listeners go to greggvalley.com, GREGG, valley.com, this is one of the things that we've learned to do, is that we have to do this 5 or 6 times throughout the course of the episode. Whoever we have on, whatever they're promoting, we want to just make sure that our listeners are reminded to go check it out and see what it is. Yeah, and it's less about the plug and more about the fact that our listeners tend to be interested in these kinds of things. I mean, I listen to podcasts, and if I'm listening to that guest, I want to know what they're up to. Yeah. I'm really into Russell Brand lately.
Oh, cool.
And I'll listen to anything he does, because that dude is out of his damn mind.
And I love to hear his voice, too.
Yeah.
He has a great voice.
He does have a great voice.
That guy is, I'm going to get back to my thought, but I just want to say this about Russell Brand. So I saw something on YouTube where he was on Morning Joe, but Joe of Morning Joe wasn't there. I think that's Joe Scarborough. He wasn't there. And so there's a female co-host that he has, and she was anchoring the thing, and there are 2 other hosts, and then the guest. And so the guest was Russell Brand. And you guys should go look it up on YouTube. It's funny as hell. But Russell Brand comes on, and the first thing they talk about is these boots he's wearing, because he's wearing some interesting boots. So he puts the boot up on the table, and he's like, "Look, I don't mean to disrespect your table, but you brought up the boot, so I'm going to show you the boot.
Gotta see
Here's the boot." And it was a nice-looking boot, whatever. Meanwhile, his charm, and he's a good-looking dude, and the hostess maybe had 10 or 15 years on him. Also, nice-looking hostess. But here's Russell Brand. Exotic, good-looking movie star. And she's just like, she can't stop looking at him. And so he looks at her and starts laying on the charm. And she, he pulls his leg down and says, "Oh, I moved the table, I'm sorry." And he starts to move the desk back. And so she gets up and reaches over to move the desk back. In the meantime, she's like reaching towards him. And he says, "Oh my goodness, please excuse me, but that is a very low-cut dress, and I am flesh and blood. I have instincts, lady, so please, I just want to say that if you're going to lean in like that, maybe I might question your intentions," or some Russell Brandish thing to say. And she starts, like, she's flush now, and he just keeps peppering her, and she gets to the point where she just can't do anything, because she's been Russell Branded. And she's just flustered, and he's very respectfully made what could be deemed as an advance, and a woman who probably would have really enjoyed an advance from a young, good-looking man such as he. And wow, it was funny as hell to watch that. Anyway, what I was saying was, you work in bold shapes and vibrant colors, and they lend themselves to a large format. Does that mean that when you establish this style, I don't imagine you establish this style on a wall on the side of a building, right?
No.
So did you, and in your process, because this is a break it down show, so we're going to break down your process.
Sure, hey, absolutely.
I imagine that when you paint a large mural, you probably establish a grid system.
Yes.
Right? So you have small chunks that you can pay attention to in detail that end up being the large piece of work.
Yeah, I mean, the grid is basically just to get the design onto the wall, and then the grid is done. I mean, I don't use the grid as far as my painting is concerned, but the grid is mainly just to get the
scale properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Was that a part of the process as you were establishing your?
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting. The style.
Have you ever been called upon in an audio environment to describe your style?
It's very difficult to. That's why you need to go to the website.
Gregg Valley.com.
It started probably a little less than 20 years ago when I started. I used to be traditional media. I did years and years and years worth of drawing for children's publishing, children's books, magazines, all that kind of stuff with a very cute kind of colored pencil style. Then I decided I wanted to change up and I wanted to use the computer for my work, but I didn't want to use the computer to emulate any kind of traditional medium. So I wanted to do something different. And so I came up with this style that uses flat color, but I take shapes and I cut them up into other individual shapes and color them all. And it's just, it was kind of a cool thing. And that's when I had never even thought of making paintings out of this. And someone said, hey, that would be awesome, huge on the side of a wall.
And turns out, it's great for that.
It's perfect. So one of the guys that was in charge of the mural program that I first worked with was like, Gregg's work is just so perfect for this. It's like the bigger it is, the better it is, and that's what I'm all about. I just love the size, the scale, just creating these huge things.
So if you're not in front of your computer and you haven't gone to greggvalley.com, the style is almost like. If you're familiar with the people who paint in dots, and then the dots create a larger, like you step back and the dots create a larger image. If you go way in, there's dots. If you go way back, you can see the image in the dots, except you've gone further and you have dimensional shapes that create a larger image. Mm-hmm. And so it's like that in that if you get real close to that painting, you see the triangles, and then you see not only are there geometric shapes, but they have dimension. Mm-hmm. And those end up making an image that is... Go to greggvalley.com.
Yeah, you got to see.
Gregg. Yeah. Picture's worth 1,000 words. But hey, Stevie Wonder may be listening to my show. And if he does, I want him to understand that it's almost like his work in that, Stevie Wonder's got an enormous band. He's got 3 guitar players. And then there's 2 keyboard players and him.
Wow.
And we haven't even gotten to the horn section or the percussion section or the number of vocalists. But why that is he has them operating in really subtle textures. And together, as a cohesive unit, they make something that is a great chord. And so visually, that's what you've created, is a great chord out of geometric shape and bold color and... Right?
Yeah, I'm enjoying hearing you describe it because it's very interesting. I kind of do what I do, and I don't think about it in the way that you're describing it.
Yeah, because you see it in your head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So okay, as you're beginning to establish the style and sort of get familiar with a new way of doing things, you're just on flat canvas, or did you start on paper? What was the medium?
This particular style was always, it kind of had its beginnings in the computer.
Yeah.
So it wasn't on paper, canvas, anything. It was and now it's kind of transitioned itself. I mean, all of my work starts on paper anyway. I mean, I start with the initial sketches and drawings and everything, and then I take that into the computer and do.
He is mortal. He begins on paper. Uh-huh.
And I
like
do
the rest of us. Yeah. So one leg at a time with the shorts too. Okay. All right.
So now I kind of go from traditional pencil on paper to the digital, then back to paint on canvas or walls or whatever. So it's just kind of a back and forth kind of thing now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I can equate that to other processes. And I think that starting with a pencil and some paper to get the broad strokes, that's pretty cool. All right. Do you have any questions for Gregg?
I do, actually.
You do? Wow.
Yeah. So what was your last piece that you just finished? It doesn't have to be on a grand scale or anything, but the last thing that you finished, what did that mean to you, and what was it?
I've been making work for the show that I'm having. So the last one that I actually finished was a smaller painting. It's 18 by 24 inch panel that I put some three-dimensional stuff into.
Nice.
That I've done a bit in the past of the three-dimensional things on panels. So I kind of like that because it's just gives a extra dimension to the work, and my facets I call my work faceting. So my facets in these dimensional ones are both painted and physical with some of the dimensional stuff.
Oh boy!
So yeah, so it's kind of cool. So this one was just a small, for me, a smaller piece, 18 by 24, and and I kind of wanted to do something that's a little more. It kind of this piece. It's kind of hard to describe. It kind of looks like my thought process on this was doing something that's a little more like kind of ancient Mayan kind of looking things. I love ancient art, ancient Egyptian, Mayan, any of that kind of stuff. And I kind of wanted to have a feel of that, but keep my style into it. So this is sort of like a skull kind of thing, and just with all my facets and everything. And so it was a cool thing, and I want to keep exploring that to some degree too, with subsequent paintings. So.
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
I'm just happy when questions are more than, because they could easily just, often my question is, motherfucker, what? And so a question that involves a little more dialogue than that.
Yeah.
Here's what's cool. I think we're seeing now that your process is going through the next evolution where it almost begs for the actual physical dimension. So in your studies, did you study sculpture at all?
I did a bit when I was in college, and that was a long time ago. But I've always liked dimensional things, and it never really came out in my work until there was a project I did here in Northern California, actually, and they wanted something that was more than just a flat painting on a flat surface, and so I came up with not only a dimensional thing to this, but I also put lighting into it as well. I need to go look at that while I'm here, by the way.
Yeah,
I need to do that.
And what is that?
It was a project I did for the. It was a percentage for the arts program here that they like any new construction, the percentage that has to go to art.
Sure.
So I was lucky enough to get a project out of this with there was a public health facility that was being built in Fairfield, and so I did a painting. Was it like 8 foot by 12 foot painting in the waiting room of the facility. And so I came up with the idea of doing some three-dimensional stuff to this, as well as some kind of cool lighting effects that I had installed into this painting. But that's, from there that was like, hey, I kind of like this dimensional stuff.
Yeah.
With it just adds an extra dimension to the painting. And so I've been kind of doing that as I can. I mean, you can't really do that on canvas because you can't stick anything on the canvas. But when I'm painting on a panel or a piece of wood or something, I can...
Or an enormous wall.
Or a wall. But I haven't done it on a wall yet, except for the first one.
Yeah. But you could. I mean, you could explore, plaster.
Yeah.
Stucco.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of media that would give you the opportunity to bring things out.
So that's always fun to...
You did that at a health clinic in Fairfield, California.
Yes.
I immediately thought, it's an enormous vagina.
Which is really funny Because I saw...
Because it's funny because...
I love that there's a
yes.
I have an uncle who lives out here in Northern California, my Uncle Val.
Uncle Val.
Which you know.
Yes.
And I went to see him yesterday, and funny you bring up vaginas, because he was telling us a story.
His Uncle Val has an enormous vagina?
Uncle Val...
It's in his living room.
For Halloween one year, dressed up as an enormous vagina.
Okay, that's
And
something Uncle
just
Val would do.
Absolutely freaking hysterical. I mean, he is just such a funny guy.
He is a funny guy. That's one of the other things that we share is we both have an Uncle Val.
That's right.
I'm going to shout out my Uncle Val, too, because it was his birthday the other day. He was born on Valentine's Day, of course. And so he was named Valentino. But your Uncle Val was not.
That's short for Valley.
It's short for Valley, yeah. So your Uncle Val is cool. He just got cooler. Thanks, Uncle Val.
Uncle Val's awesome.
He dressed up like a vagina. So that's the only thing that could be cooler than that is if he provided vaginas for everybody. So anyway, smiles, everyone.
Oh, yeah.
So, boy, that just took me totally off track. Imagine
that.
Yeah, is that particular piece at the health clinic something that we can see from outside, or is it inside the lobby?
You can see it from outside as well as inside. I mean, there's lots of windows, so you can see it from the outside. But
so we could just spin by there and go check it out.
We could do that.
Okay. Well, it's something we may consider doing.
Yeah. I actually, what I don't have of that piece is as I said, there was I incorporated into this piece what's called electroluminescent lighting, which is something that as I was working on this piece, I discovered that it's this like paper thin panels of light that I actually adhered to the surface of the painting, which kind of works with the painting. They kind of fade in and out, and just kind of a cool.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Wow, yeah, I do now, because I remember the piece now because there were test tubes or beakers, or it was a
big hand and butterflies and nature and all sorts of health stuff.
Right.
And,
still couldn't manage to sneak a vagina in there somewhere.
No, there are definitely no vaginas.
Okay,
but
all right.
But what I don't have is a good video, a good high quality video
of the. Sorry. I have two of those. Okay. These are no fun, are they?
Yeah.
You don't have a high quality video of the piece. Yeah, that you ought to make that happen.
Yeah, while I'm here, gotta do it.
Let's depart for a moment from your work specifically and talk about what you're looking at in the world that stimulates your imagination. What kind of stuff do you see that makes you go, huh?
Well, as you guys know, I am definitely into bones, which I guess kind of, is a different kind of thing. But in my house, I have bones everywhere. I have a case of bone skulls, or animal skulls, probably about, last count, probably about 60 different species of animals.
He's not kidding.
Of skulls and skeletons that I put together. I have I have a human skeleton, actually.
He's not kidding.
I have in my, I mean, it takes space to put these. I have in my closet. I have a complete deer skeleton. I have a mountain lion skeleton that I haven't been able to put together yet. But lots of. So I'm into that.
It's pretty interesting though, because
it is amazing.
There are a lot of people into taxidermy, so it'd be no different than if you were a hunter and you enjoyed trophies. But these are a little more. They're preserved in a different way.
Yeah, I look at bones not so much in a macabre kind of way like people might, but I look at them as I find them to be absolutely beautiful. They're amazing. It just it's nature. It's just the beauty of nature kind of thing. Just, you just look at the forms.
You're actually looking at the structure of a being.
Absolutely.
Everything else hangs off of that.
Yeah.
And so I understand your fascination. I don't get it, but I understand why a person would be fascinated. It's kind of creepy. So as a person who has been the inside of your house many times, not your current house, I got to come visit you in your current abode, but in your previous house, that included, by the way, the sarcophagus of Ankhesenamun or some damn thing.
I have
next to the piano.
No, in the dining room.
Yeah,
lots of Egyptian art and stuff all over the house and all that kind of stuff too. So I've always wanted to try to meld all that stuff together and bring it into my work, and so but yeah.
Okay, it does make sense.
Yeah.
It does make sense that you would see the form inside of things, because in your work that can be viewed at greggvalley.com.
There you go.
In your work, there is an essence that is exposed. I think that's probably the thing that the dimensional evolution is going to bring out. I'm hoping anyway, is that there's an essence that's exposed in every form. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you see in the minute world of bugs?
I just find them fascinating, and that's another thing that I have so many like weird little interests. I mean, I photograph these bugs, and while I was living out here, I would go to the shore, and I would shoot. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures of tide pools, just the amazing creatures, the anemones, and just all the things that live in the tide pools. I've all these pictures, and I've wanted to incorporate them into my art as well. It's just, there's so much. I mean, I just have all these freaky little interests, and just want to do everything with it. But
yeah, there's so little time.
Oh yeah.
I'm so happy to see you, man. It's really nice to see your face, because we did a lot of fun stuff in the most basic things, like we'd go hiking or kayaking and see a piece of the world that was unique to that day at that time, and appreciate it for what it was. And that in the world is terrific. So I have to encourage our listeners to do as much of that as you can. Just go out and see a part of the world that you're not looking at all the time.
Oh yeah.
And see what it inspires in you.
One of the things that people have said to me about my bug photography, it's like, wow, that's like so weird. It's in everybody's yard. It's in everybody's backyard.
Yeah.
All I do is go looking for it, and it's just this phenomenal stuff that's right there that nobody sees. And I love to see that kind of stuff that typically people don't look at.
It's right there.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining it, but really I'm recalling it because I've seen it plenty of times. That you are taking a picture of the eye of an insect while somebody is standing right next to you watering their tomato plants. I mean, I've seen this happen.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody is right next to you and they go, "Oh my God, what is that?" You were standing a foot away from it.
No, sure.
So
you just got to try a little harder.
Yeah, try a little harder.
Yeah. Just
open your eyes a little.
Yeah. I mean, that's it right there. Just you I mean, amazing stuff is everywhere. You just got to look for it.
And where can we see these pictures of these bugs?
Well, the bug pictures you can see on Instagram. Which is what is my Instagram? Is it?
It's Death Valley Man.
It's Death Valley Man. Yeah.
Death Valley Man on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's some cool
you should
stuff
follow
on there.
everybody follow Death Valley Man on Instagram. It's fun. There's always cool shit on there.
Oh yeah.
Oh. What else do you want to talk about? We can talk about anything. Back to big vaginas. No. Well, let's talk about tiny vaginas.
Well, I want to talk about how cool it is. Sorry, I'm eating grapes.
Yeah, now we're eating grapes, everybody.
How cool it is to be back in Northern California for the first time in 4 freaking years.
Yeah, you had the sunshine on the back of your neck and just about freaked out.
I have 2 boys who are in college in Southern California. So I've been to Southern California several times since I've moved. But this is the first time that I've been back here in Northern California since I moved almost 4 years ago. So
those boys must be getting
nuts.
laid so much. I swear to God, they're probably just knocking it. It's like it must just be target practice.
Oh man, hey, I don't know. I don't know.
I know you don't. I'm just trying to plant bad seeds. I find myself in Orange County, not specifically in Irvine, but not far from Irvine. Right. And I haven't really looked Zach up because every time I think to do it, I have a small window of time, and I think he doesn't need my old ass cramping his style somewhere. He is clearly right now doing something far better than anything I could, Hey, Zach, pull yourself away from your amazing life. That you're probably in a field of flowers with a cheerleading team or who knows what he's up to.
Oh, yeah. Field of flowers with a cheerleading team.
I don't know so much about that.
How about, Zach, how about you and I go get a burger is so much less appealing than whatever he's doing.
Hey, you never know.
Okay.
Zach spends a lot of time in, he's pre-med and he's working with doctors.
Hot chicks.
And working his ass off.
Yeah, working his ass off. So, hey, you never know.
I know. I jest.
He may enjoy that burger.
But I mean not to belittle the studies of your sons who are very dedicated to their education and their academic endeavors. And they're both brilliant, but they're both probably also crushing a lot of talent. I did find myself in San Diego one time. I went down there to investigate a murder that had happened in a prison.
Wow.
And one of the witnesses to that murder. So one of the things that happens when there's a murder in a prison is they round up everybody and they go, okay, we're going to have to interview all you guys. Okay, the interviews are over. Thank you very much. And then they send everybody far away. So if you're the unfortunate sap who has to investigate the murder, you have to visit inmates that are spread out all over Kingdom Come. So one of my witnesses was in a facility down there outside of San Diego. Jake's in San Diego. So I tried to offer him a burger. Our paths did not cross that time. But he did say, yeah, man, I'm really glad to hear from you, and we'll get that burger. So we will, Jake. We will go get that burger. Hopefully my window of opportunity is a little bigger the next time I'm down there, and hopefully Niko's down there with me.
Okay, question. Why were you investigating a murder in a prison?
I've been working as a private investigator since you left.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So,
a whole bunch of fun stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So one of the things that happened was that we opened a private investigation firm that specialized in criminal investigations. So many of my clients were involved in incidents and usually were arrested and facing charges. And so my job in this particular case that took me to San Diego was to figure out who killed this guy in this facility.
Wow.
And without giving away the details of the case, which will be, it's a case that will be featured in my new podcast that's still in development called Justice.
Nice.
But what happens is I had a client who was days, not weeks, days from his release.
Wow.
He had served a little over years for that he had committed and was remorseful about. So he was sentenced to, and because of his behavior while he was inside, he had done the minimum of the sentence. I think he even did a little less than the minimum, and they had credited him some time, and he was being good. Mm-hmm. And he was serving his time in a facility that afforded him some privilege. The problem is that he was in a dorm where somebody had been murdered. Now, I speak in these terms because, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And my part of the investigation has concluded. But I did truly believe this particular client to be not guilty of this crime. And all of the witnesses, save one that I spoke to, also would testify to the fact that he wasn't involved. Mm-hmm. It was one of those situations where the witness who did say that he was involved was attempting to garnish favor or privilege or less penalty because he had tested dirty. The whole thing was dirty. Anyway, I had to visit people who, because they have to separate everybody. Now, there's somebody's been killed. You guys can't play nice together. We're going to send everybody away. So all of the parties involved were spread out. So I had to go to Tracy, Chino, San Diego, San
Luis
Luis Obispo.
Them to different,
they spread you out.
Oh, wow.
They spread you out all over the place.
Wow.
So, the court paid me to drive around a lot.
Sure.
So, anyway, I was hoping that one of those drives would involve getting a burger with Jake.
Yeah.
Didn't happen that time.
Well, that's so cool. I had no idea that you were doing that.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm surprised I didn't tell you that.
There's like a little bit of memory of
Kernel of something.
Maybe hearing something about that at some point. But
yeah. What else? How's Pittsburgh? Cold as hell?
Pittsburgh is currently cold as hell, yeah. And weather-wise, February sucks, but which is why I'm here now. It's a good time to be here.
Good time to be here.
Absolutely.
What is it outside right here? It must be 78 degrees outside.
I don't know about that. Let's see what it says. Well, 68.
Okay, 68 degrees outside.
It's probably like 20 in Pittsburgh right now. It's supposed to be snowing and all that kind of fun stuff there right now. So.
That is the proverbial witch's tit. You guys had Niko over, but in the summertime.
And he came at a perfect time. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was 80 and humid.
Yeah.
And humid.
Yeah, well,
humid as hell.
Humid as hell.
Yeah.
But I'll take that over freezing and rainy and snowy and nasty and cold.
I dig it. I come from that, so I'm into it.
No, you're not.
Okay. Is that
unbearable? I know you, and no, you're not.
No, you're not.
I am also a man of convenience.
Your nipples get hard at 60 degrees, so.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you looking at my nipples?
I'm not looking at them. They're looking at me.
Anyway, you know what? Thank you for hosting Niko over there, too. You guys.
Oh, my goodness.
Seriously.
You guys went to the Anchor Bar, huh?
Oh, in Buffalo.
You guys went all the way to Buffalo. Took a little road trip. Went to Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls.
That's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Fun stuff.
Spent, how long were you out there? Like a week?
10 days? 2 weeks? Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Took them kayaking on the rivers in Pittsburgh, which was a lot of fun.
The rivers. The 3 rivers.
3 rivers.
Yeah. Monongahela. Who else? What else we got? I don't remember anything.
I'm surprised you remember that one.
The Ohio.
The Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Ohio.
Yeah. Okay.
So Pittsburgh is cool. It's a cool town. It's changing. It changed a huge amount in the time that I was here before I moved back. It's kind of getting a lot more hip, a lot more cool restaurants and bars and breweries and stuff cropping up all over the place. And just a fun place, but just not a big fan of the winters.
Yeah,
but
that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, and your buddy's the mayor.
My friend is the mayor. Yeah, I went to college with him, so that's kind of cool to be friends with him. In fact, I just went to dinner with him a couple weeks ago, so that was kind of cool.
You went to Carnegie Mellon.
Yes.
Do you want to plug them for any reason? Are you doing anything there now? Are they having you?
No,
shouldn't they
really.
do something Gregg Valley-ish?
Well, they should, of course. I always say Carnegie Mellon was a great place, was a good education, but the amazing thing about that was the connections that I made through that. I mean, my best friends, some of my best friends in the world are the people that I met while going to school there, and just some amazing people that I know through that. So.
Yeah.
And were you involved in any Greek life while you were there?
I was indeed.
Yeah.
Actually, does that mean you were getting girls in the butt? No, I know what that means.
Yeah.
Just anyway.
In fact, the mayor of Pittsburgh was a fraternity brother of mine. So.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
And so now, wait a minute, because what fraternity was that?
Pi Kappa Alpha.
Pi Kappa Alpha. So what about Zach?
Zach also is a Pi Kappa Alpha.
Okay. And Jake?
He is not.
Rebel.
What is
I don't even.
Sigma Calvers?
You know what? I can never remember.
Yeah.
Lambda Chi or something.
That sounds right.
Something along.
We'll see.
But now Zach's in a medical fraternity kind of thing. So he's the actual Greek fraternity was cool in the first couple of years of college, but now he's doing more of the professional kind of things.
Oh wow!
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah. Kind of
what
he has to
you
do.
got to transition a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that you made that kind of transition or that there were those specialties that, of course, it makes sense now that you've said it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the Greek fraternities are more social kind of thing.
yeah.
And then there's
there are the professional fraternities.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Gregg Valley, whose work you can see, by the way, greggvalley.com.
There you go.
And whose Instagram handle is @DeathValleyMan.
Yes.
So go check out stuff there too, because there's plenty of. This is where you'll see Gregg's view of the world, which is in a lot of minute detail that's probably right under your nose.
Yes.
So go check that out. It's very interesting. Yeah, we're rounding third base, man. This hasn't been too bad, right?
Yeah. Can we pause?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
for
got
sure.
too.
Sorry.
That happens. You know what? And we can freshen up the beers too. So while Gregg has walked away, I'll say a few things about him because as I opened up in the full disclosure, he is a very dear friend. He's a great, great guy. He is a guy who I would consider a real Renaissance man. He appreciates the world in a way that's really unique. So I really do encourage you to go check out his Instagram @DeathValleyMan. He somehow manages to capture the parts of life that we completely miss. He is also infatuated with bones, as he mentioned, which is pretty cool. So you'll see a bunch of stuff there. He also displays some of his artwork, and his artwork is tremendous. So I know sometimes I have my friends on the podcast, and it's cool to be able to do that. And they are interesting to listen to. But Gregg really is a brilliant artist whose stuff is magnificent. And when you look at the run-of-the-mill things that you see around, I'm not a collector of original art pieces. That's a little rich for my blood, for one thing. But I sure like to go see him in places like the Getty Museum. And, I try to check him out of museums. His stuff is museum quality. He's going to leave behind a very interesting body of work that somebody's going to discover a couple hundred years from now and think is fascinating and beautiful and wonderful. So you have your opportunity now to check it out. And you should, again, greggvalley.com or @DeathValleyMan on Instagram. So here come fellows once again. We'll resume our talk with Gregg Valley.
I feel much better now.
Ah, yes. Will you grab me a frosty beer?
You want a last one or a new one?
Okay. So we're rounding third base here, Gregg. Let's tell our listeners where they can see that you've got a one-man show coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Where is it?
In the Pittsburgh area. It's actually the Penn State University campus in New Kensington, which is just north of Pittsburgh. So Penn State, New Kensington. Like I said, hopefully there's a couple more mural projects coming up this summer, so we'll see what happens with that.
And you post the details of those projects up on greggvalley.com where everybody can go see your body of work. A bunch of pieces out of it anyway.
Probably, and they're also on my Instagram, Death Valley Man.
Death Valley Man.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be posting information there as well.
Cool.
So,
well, hey, man, I love you. I love your family. I love that we actually got to capture this time.
it is so cool to be sitting in your house. I'm so happy to be here. So
Right on,
awesome.
right on. So
Very, very cool.
yeah, thanks, man. Gregg Valley, everybody.
Woo! Yay!